I lived in Harlem long enough to know that gunshots do not sound like making popcorn on the stove. Making popcorn on the stove. Making popcorn on the stove.
The point where the president is standing at any point in time, and that is the first thing that an agent is supposed to do, is get him off the X anytime there is any sort of threat intelligence against the president. And it really comes down to two things primarily, and that's communication. Clearly, there was a tremendous lack of communication between local authorities and the Secret Service, and also advancement, including aerial surveillance and your ground surveillance.
And the video you're looking at is just one of the new perspectives that we are getting from some of the folks who are out there. And it looks like this is actually the video that shows the shooter right there. You can see him actually on the roof. And again, this is just some of the video that we have received over the past few hours or so. Now, there are multiple probes into security. Can you kind of explain to me how security works to set up a perimeter for something like this, and how ground, air surveillance, all of that, just kind of a little bit deeper into how that works?
Sure. So first and foremost, the first thing the Secret Service does anytime a protectee goes to an event, they send an advance team. An advance team is a small unit within the Secret Service of various agents, and those agents go out there, and their job is to first and foremost get an idea of the lay of the land, to scope the area, to meet with local law enforcement, to establish a communications plan, to establish an SOP, to establish a command post. A command post would be an area usually off-site. That way, if there's a critical incident, it won't impact the command post, where you have local law enforcement. Most staged than a Tyler Perry production of Medea Runs for President. I lived in Harlem long enough to know that gunshots do not sound like making popcorn on the stove. Where'd the blood come from? So in theater, in movies, they have what's called blood pellets. They even, people use them in Halloween. It's basically like a pellet of fake blood that's in your mouth, and when you crush it, the blood comes out. Radio comms, as well as Secret Service radio comms, so that way, because they're not both on the same channel, so that way, if there is an incident, the locals can communicate to command posts and vice versa, and that communication gets relayed out. So that is extremely crucial in the advanced process. I don't know if that was done. I would assume it was done, but clearly that communication never happened. And then once you see agents are out there and setting up your perimeter security, your fencing, your ingress, your egress. Obviously, there's various credential points. Anytime somebody's close to President Trump, there is various credentials and security checks required. And then people further back in the crowd, they still go through magnetometers at the rallies and everything, which is another thing that the advancement team will be out there setting up. And it's really just setting up all the groundwork. It's important to notate that the agents that are traveling with a protectee at any point in time, those agents have probably never been on site there. So once President Trump gets off the plane, he's in a motor convoy with his, it's called the shift, which is the inner circle of the Secret Service that are the agents that are actually with him at all time, protecting him. And again, that advance is really crucial in guiding those agents on the ground and making sure everything is set up for the president's or the protectee's arrival. So that advancement period is absolutely crucial. You also were talking about ground surveillance, area surveillance. For ground surveillance, we would have a mixture of CCTV cameras. You'd see, you would have agents on the ground that are part of a surveillance team. And you'd also have aerial surveillance, which is a mixture of air support, air helicopter, and which is mostly local assets, the helicopters. And then you'd also have a drone and potentially infrared thermal imaging cameras and various other assets and technologies to really add to that ground surveillance. And another thing in the advanced process is the CS, the counter sniper team. And obviously there's a lot of questions on that. And that's another huge part of it, of scoping out the areas of where your CS team is going to be set up, where your vulnerabilities are, and making sure that all these exits and all these various points where there could be line of sight picture to the protectee to make sure those are covered.
And on that note right there, do we know yet if the counter sniper team actually followed the rules? Do we know what those rules are? How does all of that work?
So the rules of engagement are very simple. They're the same rules of engagement
serious bodily harm or death, they are authorized to use deadly force. There's no prior clearance required for that. If there is a deadly threat, and a guy in a rooftop with a rifle would certainly qualify as a deadly threat, and they don't need any prior authorization. They're clearly take that shot. So as far as if they follow the rules of engagement, again, there's a lot of unanswered questions to that. There's now reports coming out that apparently the Secret Service counter-sniper team, which again, it's important to notate that President Trump now has a much smaller security footprint in detail than he did when he was in office. So also the counter-sniper team is much smaller. It's a much smaller element than it would be if he was in office. And there's now reports coming out that a local sniper element, one of the local police departments, was responsible for covering that rooftop because the Secret Service counter-sniper team did not have a clear line of sight picture on that rooftop, which is certainly possible. And again, that's all information that we're just going to have to wait, unfortunately, until more information comes out to really identify what really happened and did they follow the rules of engagement immediately, or was there a delay because of a line of sight picture and an additional element that was responsible for that area of operation.
And it's almost crazy to look at here because you can see this video. I'm going to pull it up full here so you get a better look. But what we were seeing was the suspected gunman there on the roof. So you had so many people who were taking videos of this person and trying to point them out to law enforcement there. But the fact that shot was still able to happen, and we do know that one person did die. Former President Trump was wounded, and 2 other people had critical injuries. So it's strange just watching that video right there on your screen. Now, I do want to know, what is the likely communication plan between the Secret Service and local law enforcement there?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, that's all part of that plan will be established in the advancement process once those initial agents are on the ground. And a lot of times those agents are on the ground at a minimum of days, but in most cases weeks and weeks before. And the plan would be, again, setting up a command post, an offsite command post. That way, if there was any sort of attack on the main site, the command post doesn't get impacted because communication is absolutely crucial. And I believe if we had better communication, this tragedy would have been prevented. And you would have local law enforcement, you would have a dispatch or an officer for each department with a radio in that command post, including a representative for the Secret Service. It's on the Secret Service channel. And that way, you'd also have fire department, you'd have, you may even have ground workers on the site, and really any part of your critical incident management team and your stakeholders. And anything that happens on the ground, it gets relayed to the command post, or it should get relayed to the command post. At least that's how it's supposed to happen. And then that way, the respective agencies that are responsible for whatever's going on can then be notified and dispatch their personnel out. So again, it's really important to note, because there's a lot of questions right now on, hey, how come the locals didn't radio the Secret Service? How come there was this huge delay? It's a question we all have, but again, the way I'm sure it was set up, there was a possibility for that to happen, and it should have happened through that command post and through that unified communication. But why that didn't happen, why the shooter was on that rooftop for almost 30 minutes, and they were tracking him too, and how come that wasn't relayed to the shift agents? I am just beyond baffled, and I know the entire world is. So all questions that need to be answered.
All right, Toby, my last question for you here. Do you think that we will ever get those clear answers about what did happen? Are there certain things that we may never know?
Yeah, I can tell you, we are going to get more answers. I mean, more answers are coming out daily, right? As we're having this interview, it's likely there's more information that's coming out. Are we going to have the clear sight picture? No pun intended. No, we are not. And the reason being is anytime there is an attack on a Secret Service
Hey, peace and blessings to the trial. Y'all like, share, subscribe. So on to the Negro News. I mean, let me not say that because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be cooning or whatever. But it is, I would say, high class black premium news. So I'm going to show y'all some videos and some reactions from a couple of our black sisters and brothers and their take on the whole Trump thing or whatever like that. But yeah, let's get into that, man. Telescope. Oh yeah, and I would also like to say, make sure y'all slide in those comments, man. I appreciate y'all and y'all engagement, man. Y'all slide in those comments and tell me what you think about the video so far and how you feeling. Is definitely controversial, but y'all tell me what y'all stance is on it. Do you believe it was fake? Do you believe it was real? Are you looking down on people that think it was fake because it was obviously real? Or y'all drop y'all takes or whatever in that comment section, man. Don't be scared to slide down in the comment section, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me and make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bells if you already not subscribed. And yeah, man, let's get back into this content. Telescope.
To be frank, Small Hands Trump would not respond by raising his fist in the air triumphantly were an actual attempt made on his life. This was, I believe, done to try to show his strength counter to Biden's fragility. Oh my God. Molly, you in danger, girl.
Plies had to probably been there saying some more crazy. Man, dog. I ain't gonna lie. You know what's crazy? The niggas my Plies. But like, we ain't going for no Trump slander, bro. You need to go ahead and tighten that down, bro. Get off that shit. Like, Trump ain't did nothing to you. You feel me? You rich, bro. You rich. Just fall back, love. Cause mafioso, boy. Shit. That mafioso ain't
him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Did they see
binoculars?
Did they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs?
See him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching. But you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter there. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. So I got people there really helpful. I got
was there only one person shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions as well as I breathed for him.
One person?
The FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police. Is safe, and according to him and his team, it's fine. It's also important to note that last night, 3 of our fellow Pennsylvanians were shot, 1 fatally, 2 in critical condition. I've just spent time speaking to the families, and I want to offer my prayers and the prayers of all 13 million Pennsylvanians for the 2 individuals who are being treated at this time. We lost a fellow Pennsylvanian last night, Corey Comparator. I just spoke to Corey's wife and Corey's 2 daughters. Corey was a girl dad. Corey was a firefighter. Corey went to church every Sunday. Corey loved his community. Most especially, Corey loved his family. Corey was an avid supporter of the former president and was so excited to be there last night with him in the community. I asked Corey's wife if it would be okay for me to share that we spoke. She said yes. She also asked that I share with all of you that Corey died a hero. That Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us. May his memory be a blessing.
now that y'all seen that, man, it's back to the regular programming. I'm finna just go give y'all the world news and what we've been seeing or whatever, what the other people saying around the world and stuff like that. I did have another video of the alleged shooter, and for whatever reason, they saying that he's still alive. I don't know if I might include that in this video because it's pretty long, or y'all be on the lookout for that to be in the next video. But I will post that video when he's saying like he's still alive and he didn't do it and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get that video to y'all as soon as possible. But let's get back into this news. Remember, man, they said it. We speaking on it. I'm Mr. Telescope, and you're now watching Telescope Channel. Let's get back into it, man. Telescope, come.
Secret Service protectee. That is essentially it's classified information, and the reason being is because it's obviously the Secret Service job to protect their protectee, and the more information that's out there, that can potentially expose other security vulnerabilities that can then be exploited or try to be exploited by a copycat. Obviously, those weak points and those vulnerabilities will be patched up. I'm very confident in that. Secret Service is still the premier federal agency for protection. It's an amazing organization. There's definitely questions need to be answered and some changes need to be made here. But nevertheless, I'm confident that those vulnerabilities will be patched up. But no, we're not going to have the entirety of everything that happened, every single detail. It's also on that note, recently authorities picked up human intelligence from the Iranians that have also planned an attack against the life of former President Trump. And so again, the threats are out there. The threats are rising, not just for the now presumptive presidential nominee, but also for our country as a whole.
All right, Toby, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help break all this before I let you go.
I think it's important to stay vigilant, right? We saw so many people in the crowd that were notifying law enforcement, and my hat's off to those people in there. And it's important to stay vigilant, and to know if you see something, say something. If you can take action, like notifying law enforcement in that situation, do it. Be persistent. Make sure they're on it. And again, stay vigilant. It's really there's some tough times for our country. There are new threats that we are facing every single day, and it's important to not only for our country to unite, but for us to remain extra vigilant and know those threats are out there, and they're unfortunately only increasing.
All right, Toby Braun, thank you so much for taking the time to spend part of your morning with us. We appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, everybody, and I do want to take you.
Channel. Who's the telescope, bro? I like you, young nigga. I like you, fam.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, check it out, man. Y'all go follow Mr. Telescope, man. That boy got the scoop. He going live, man.